Right now at 6 o'clock, we're saying hello to 2024 and some new laws. We're going to break down everything you need to know this new year.
And Hartford's new mayor sworn into office overnight. Hear his thoughts about taking over as leader of the capital city.
Plus, we're checking out how folks celebrated the start of 2024 all over the world.
All local, all morning. This is Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
Good morning. Happy New Year, everybody. I'm Tim Lammers.
And I'm Keith McGilvery. Nice to have you back from a little break as we get started on a brand new year. Nice to have you with us. Getting caught up on the forecast, meteorologist Matt Scott. Once or twice last week, I was saying rinse and repeat in your honor because it was gray and wet and blah.
After years of friendship, that's the effect I've had on him, apparently. Good morning, gentlemen. Good morning to you and Happy New Year as we welcome in 2024 with kind of the same forecast that we ushered 23 out with. There's a lot of cloud coverage out there. There is dreariness abound in the Monday forecast. Maybe a little clearing later on, but a lot more on tap for Tuesday as temperatures remain mild. But could there be some snow in the 7-day? And we'll talk about that coming up. Cloud and radar picture doesn't show much. A couple of flakes trying to hold together. Not really over the Litchfield Hills. There's a little more moving into northern Jersey and the Hudson Valley. A lot of this moving into dry air. So whereas we get the clouds associated with it, we're not really looking for much in terms, if anything, in terms of moisture. 36 in the capital city, 33 in New Haven, 36 also in Groton. On the way up to the lower, I wouldn't call it the mid-40s, lower 40s is just fine. But you do notice a trend. Yes, see this thing right here? That's called the sun. In case you've forgotten. We're going to see clearing skies tonight, he tried to say, and more of that sun on tap for tomorrow. We'll talk about that in the 7-day coming up in a few minutes. 6:02 back to the desk. Here's Tim talking traffic.
And hopefully there's not a lot going on right now. Obviously, just some minor problems here and there all over the state. But there are very few cars out on the road, which is a good thing. And here by 6 o'clock, I think if you have to be out there, you still want to be a little more careful, being that it's New Year's Day. Still a lot of people out there had a lot of fun last night, but I'm guessing not a lot of impaired drivers out at 6 o'clock in the morning. Nevertheless, be careful, and you should have a nice smooth ride wherever you're going.
All right, it is now 6:02. We do have breaking news for you this morning out of Vernon. Police saying 2 people shot just as the new year was getting underway.
Now, officers responded to Lucky's Cabaret on Windsor Avenue. Fox 61's Brooke Griffin is live there now. Brooke, what do we know at this point?
Well, Vernon police tell us that both people who were shot here at Lucky's Cabaret are expected to be okay, as their injuries were deemed pretty minor. But they have not mentioned at this point if they have any sort of suspect that's been named or even in custody now. Officers tell us this all happened just before midnight. They received a 911 call about 2 people who were shot at Lucky's Cabaret. And you can see here behind me that there's really not necessarily a lot going on. It's very, very dark here. It is completely quiet, shut down. They tell us that this is here on Windsor Avenue. And according to the Facebook page for Lucky's, they were throwing a New Year's Eve party here last night. Now, when officers arrived, they say they found 2 people with gunshot wounds, but did not release their genders, names, or ages. Now, they tell us that both victims were transported over to Hartford Hospital to be treated for those injuries. Again, they are expected to be okay, as they were pretty minor. But they do tell us that they are still working on this. This is an active investigation. Even though it's not an active scene, it's of course something that they're still looking into. And as soon as we have any more information, we will get that out to you. Live in Vernon, Brooke Griffin, Fox 61, Connecticut's news station.
All right, Brooke, thank you so much for that. 6:04, and Hartford's new mayor is already on the job. Arunan Arulapalam took the oath of office when the clock hit midnight. This was at the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Arch in Bushnell Park. His wife, Reverend Liza Arulapalam, administered the oath of office. Arulapalam said he's honored to step into this role. He said he knows he's got a lot of work ahead.
All of our priorities play into each other. You can't have a strong education system if you don't invest in housing. You can't have really strong public safety if we don't invest in youth services. Everything we do in this city is interconnected, and everyone in the city is interconnected. And so in my campaign, in my administration, we've tried to stress everyone coming together and working together. There's a whole host of things we've got to address.
Well, the new mayor will celebrate his inauguration with some other events later this week. He'll take part in an interfaith prayer service Thursday at 10:30 a.m. at Center Church, followed by a reception at noon at the Old State House Square. And then there's the Believe in Hartford inaugural ball, 5:30 p.m. that day at the Connecticut Convention Center. New Haven Mayor Justin Elicker begins his third term in office today. Elicker and other city officials will be inaugurated at noon today at Wilbercross High School on Mitchell Drive. All right, several new laws as of today are now in effect in Connecticut.
Among them, an increase in the minimum wage to tell you about goes up from $15 an hour to $15.69. This increase will apply to most workers. It does not include those who receive tips.
People who are working 2 and 3 jobs can cut back on the number of jobs they work. We know that minimum wage workers have to work 2 and 3 jobs just to make enough money to pay the bills.
The law also requires the minimum wage to increase as the employee cost index changes. That index, a national measure of inflation in the labor market.
You'll now get twice as much money back for recycling bottles and cans. The redemption value went up from 5 cents to 10 cents each. Representative Joe Gresco is the co-chair of the Environment Committee. He said this change will help reduce waste.
Benefit the environment by reducing the amount of litter, because now you have a cash value for things that are normally discarded.
Any bottles and cans that you bought prior to today will also be worth 10 cents when you return them.
This one we've told you about. Another change taking effect today will benefit firefighters. Each town and city now required to contribute $10 per firefighter per year to the Connecticut Firefighters Cancer Relief Account. This money will act as workman's compensation if a firefighter is diagnosed with cancer as a result of their service.
Another new law should hopefully make it easier and safer, I should say, to use dating apps. Online dating services are now required to give users info on safety, scams, and to give them avenues to report threats and harassment. The Connecticut Department of Consumer Protection has the power to fine platforms that don't comply. Be sure to stay with Fox 61 as we'll dive a little deeper into some of these other laws that will impact you and your family in the new year. We'll have team coverage all this week on air, online, and through the free Fox 61 News app. All right, new this morning, 2 people are in the hospital after a rollover crash in Rocky Hill. Emergency crews got to the intersection of West Street and Gilbert Avenue around 6:45 last night, and police said when they got there, they saw one of the cars had rolled over. Both drivers, though, had to be sent to the hospital, and one of them was seriously hurt. Police asked any witnesses to the crash to please give them a call.
One person in the hospital this morning after an explosion at a waste management center in Bridgeport. Right now, investigators still don't know what caused the blast. This is the Tredeby Environmental Services on Friday afternoon. We were there. Officials maintaining the air in this part of the city. They say it is safe. They are still keeping an eye on the water here. The mayor here, Joe Ganim, calling for regulation reform on plants like this, which borders a residential neighborhood.
We're not happy. This is unacceptable. An explosion like this, an accident like this, whatever the cause of it is just not what we're going to allow to happen.
So a lot of this still early, as you can imagine, but right now investigators don't believe there was criminal activity involved here. They say it could take months to determine exactly how that all went down.
A man faces murder charges this morning. He's accused of killing his girlfriend in New Britain. Police arrested 44-year-old Antoine Harris yesterday afternoon. They said he shot 44-year-old Sabrina Finch and 2 other people Saturday night inside an apartment on North Street. According to detectives, Harris and Finch were both living there. The other victims right now are stable at a hospital. Harris is being held on a $1.8 million bond, and he's due in court tomorrow. 5 people are facing charges after a home invasion in Middletown Saturday. Police said they all forced their way into an apartment on South Main Street, beat up and zip-tied the people who lived there and a guest, and then ransacked the place. Police said they eventually arrested all 5 in North Haven after a 20-mile-long chase. The 5 suspects are between 19 and 25 years old, and police said all but one of them came from New York.
6:09 now, and a man spending his last night of 2023 behind bars after crashing into a utility pole. This all happening on Buckingham Street in Naugatuck. Police saying 20-year-old Mauricio Alzifat not only snapped the pole right in half, he also hit a parked car and ended up in a wooded area here. He is facing a number of charges this morning, including DUI. A 70-year-old woman in critical condition after being hit by a car. This in Waterbury, all happening around 5 yesterday afternoon. We're told she was crossing the road when a car traveling southbound on Baldwin Street hit her. Police say the driver did stay at the scene. No word yet if there will be any charges connected to all of this.
If you're looking for something to do here on the first day of the new year, how about a hike? 17 state parks and forests are ringing in 2024 with first day hikes, all part of a yearly nationwide initiative to encourage people to get outside and enjoy nature. Some parks are offering in-person hikes and programs. We've got all the details online at fox61.com.